The wait is over. Dive into Audible's most anticipated collection, The Best of 2025, featuring top audiobooks, podcasts, and originals across all genres. Our editors have carefully curated this year's must-listens, from brilliant hidden gems to the buzziest new releases. Every title in this collection has earned its spot. This is your go-to for the absolute best in 2025 audio entertainment. Whether you love thrillers, romance, or nonfiction, your next favorite listen awaits. Discover why there's more to imagine when you listen at audible.com/bestoftheyear.
Shopify's point-of-sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. Today's episode is a guided tour through the parts of medicine you're never supposed to see. My guest, Dr. MaryAnn Wilbur, didn't just burn out. She walked away from a career she trained her whole life for because the system told her to cut corners, lie in her charts, and treat human beings like throughput on a conveyor belt. She talks about being pushed to use wrong tools on cancer patients just to save the hospital money while being denied time off while her own kid was sick, and how physicians are twice as likely to die by suicide as the rest of us. You're going to hear about moral injury, escape plans, and why formaldehyde sticks to your clothes way longer than trauma. This is the kind of shit that hospital PR offices will never put in their brochure. If you've ever wondered why your doctor seems rushed, distracted, or just gone entirely, this is the episode that answers it. My name is Matthew Zachary. This is At a Patient's. Let's get started. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good.
It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you.
For the listeners, MaryAnn and I got to meet each other in person a couple of weeks ago here in the studio.
Yep.
You are in town for what?
Visiting with a friend.
Okay, so any excuse to see me, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay. No, be careful not to.
Won't.
Gesticulate. You can gesticulate all you want.
Okay. I'm sorry about the knocking.
That's
I won't
okay.
do it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna just. At my house, we tell the kids, hands on you, and they just do this. And for 30 seconds, they don't break things.
That's what I tell the med students in the OR.
Really, hands on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold yourself just like this.
Yes.
That way you can't
no
contaminate
dropping
anything.
Devices into the corpse. Yeah, not okay.
Hopefully, my patient's not a corpse.
Well, I mean, you went to med school. You've seen corpses.
I have seen corpses.
So one of my friends from first grade is Dr. Jenny Sherinsky. She runs dermatologic oncology at NYU.
Okay.
And when she was in med school, she invited me one day to go in and see corpses. And I think the formaldehyde just done me in. How did you deal with that?
It's awful. The worst part is that it seeps into everything. So then your whole closet smells like it, and your car, and that's the worst part.
Yeah.
Because I could handle it when I was in the lab.
Right.
But when it followed me home.
It's like worse than cigarettes, man.
Oh, man, it is awful. And it's kind of similar, actually, too.
Yeah.
At least to American cigarettes. I swear, I think there's formaldehyde in American cigarettes because it's like the same exact smell.
Yeah. Pretty terrible. It just reminds me of that Fast Times at Ridgemont High scene. Where he's like, the guy's in the corpse, like pulling out all of the body and throwing them around the class. Good times. Good times.
Yep.
I'm thrilled to have you here because this has been just this whole idea of like, why should doctors be killing themselves? They're like, what a concept of how horrible this is. And it was my first introduction through our colleague, Todd Otten. And I was invited to, I forget the Burnout Symposium, is that what it's called?
Yep.
And I showed up there in like late 23. I'm like, well, this is equally terrible as the shit that I've been dealing with for 20 years.
Yes.
And
not
my
only is
goodness.
the system killing our patients, it's killing our doctors too.
Yeah. You're one of the few brave that quit your entire career.
I did.
In a sense.
Hey, thanks for calling me brave. Most people just think I'm crazy.
Well, crazy and brave kind of like are like a Mobius strip of
True.
emotions and choices.
True.
Yes. What was your breaking point?
For me, I actually just had this conversation with, I'm calling her a mentee, so a colleague who's a couple years behind me because I'm now almost 3 years out from clinical care. And I said, our career was so carefully laid out. You know, you get straight A's, and then you do organic chem, and then you take your MCAT, and then you apply, and you know, there's like, and it's like following breadcrumbs, and then you just keep going, and then you go to residency, and then you do fellowship, and you just keep going, and you follow the breadcrumbs. And then I followed the breadcrumbs, and they led me to a cliff. And I realized, I was like, if I keep following the breadcrumbs, I'm literally just following breadcrumbs off a cliff. Like, I got to a point where I was suicidal. I was the mother of 2 young children. I was unhappily married. I was struggling at work and at home. I could not get the help I needed in either location. And I could not do it anymore. And I've talked to a lot of my colleagues who got to the place of suicide, really attempted. I never actually attempted. I had what I call intrusive thoughts.
Explain that more.
About a plan. Like, there was a plan. It was almost like I didn't come up with the plan, but there were intrusive thoughts.
Did Wile E. Coyote come up with the plan?
Well, you know, it was. Well, I don't know how else to explain it. It wasn't like something I wanted to act out, but it was there, and it was always like, well, you could just put an end to this. You could anytime. I mean, doctors are very good at keeping people alive.
Like, is it jump off a cliff, jump in the pool?
Oh no,
like drive into a tree.
Dude, you want to know what my intrusive thoughts plan was?
Have you met me? Of course I do.
Okay, let's get raw. I was going to inject as many opiates as possible. And that's a really common way that physicians will put an end to it, especially females. We have access to these drugs. Well,
that's like the dark side of this is you can do that a lot easily than I can.
Oh, yeah. And it's a relatively pleasant way to go, you know.
Yeah.
So I was suffering pretty intensely. And what I've learned since then is that what keeps physicians from doing that is the ability to recognize our own humanity separate from our career. So being Dr. Wilbur is an important part of who I am, but it's not all I am.
I'm thrilled that this is fuckery I've not had to deal with personally. I can certainly relate to it, but in no way can I put myself in any one of these shoes. Help me understand if there's a Mount Rushmore of statistics and behavior that contribute to why this feeling exists.
Yeah.
Where is that crushingness coming from?
Yeah. So physicians have always had a suicide rate about double the general population. And historically, male physicians were more likely to complete suicide than female physicians. We are now increasing, both males and females are outpacing the completion rates in terms of like I'm such a nerd. In terms of the trajectory.
Okay.
And I'm like literally is doing y equals mx plus b. Oh my God, I'm such a nerd. Anyway.
Is that a calculus moment
yes,
we just had on the show?
Yes. This is what happens when you invite nerds on your show.
Like pull like the full quadratic equation while we're at it?
Yeah. So I was referring to the m, to the slope.
Yes.
So anyway.
Okay. Y equals mx plus b. Yeah. You just triggered like 1992 physics for me. Thank you.
Anyway, where were we? And, so physicians have always, right? It's always been hard. You know, we deal with death, we deal with dying, we're relatively...
But that feels like a known, accepted, tolerable Hippocrates
That's
thing.
part of the deal, right? You know, it's not like I went to med school and was like, what? I'm going to deal with human suffering? Of course.
Right.
Like, that was always part of the deal.
Yeah.
So what is happening now in the U.S. is that in the last 20 years, major changes have happened, and I will be glad to go through them, but you know the usual fuckery. It's basically just greed. Greed is siphoning off resources at every level. And what happens when you do that is that basically patient care is being delivered in essentially a low resource setting. And that changes the dynamic a lot. So now not only is the patient feeling it, right? They're dealing with the medical bankruptcy, the can I afford this care? Can I afford my medicine? Like they're dealing with all of that. What they're not realizing is it's happening on our side too as doctors. We're getting intense pressure to do things. In my case, I was getting intense pressure to do things that truly were provide substandard care. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm literally not doing it.
So ethics violations were like basically what was expected.
Yes. And we refer to that as moral injury. So Wendy Dean, she didn't coin the term because it existed before in the military, but she coined the use of the term in healthcare. And now we're starting, when I read her book, If I Betray These Words, I was like, that is what it is, moral injury. It was this, I can't look myself in the mirror. I got to a place where I couldn't provide the quality of care that my patients deserved. And I was still a relatively junior female, which anytime you're in a low resource setting means that who's going to get the best OR time, the best OR team, the best OR instruments, the best, guess who's not?
Right.
Low man on the totem pole, the young female. So it is what it is. And so I was being pressured to, in some cases, use certain instruments, I'm not going to get into the details, but do certain procedures that were not the appropriate thing or withhold certain procedures that were the appropriate thing. And I wasn't being given what I needed to do to provide the right care for patients. And I just was like, why did I do this? Why did I give up all the best years of my life training to do this?
Right.
And now this is gross. You know what? I'm not doing it anymore. So then if I'm not Dr. Wilbur, I'm nothing. And that's when the suicide thoughts really start to creep in. And if you can separate your own humanity from Dr. Wilbur, you can pull yourself back from the ledge.
It's probably too easy to say that greed, like how do these people sleep at night knowing that they're doing this? And like probably it's just the worst of the human condition. But are there powers above those powers that are just commanding this? Is it like a market force?
It's all of it. And so there are times when, as the surgeon, right? I meet a patient. I was a GYN oncologist. So the common story was I met a patient who was just recently diagnosed with an endometrial cancer, a cancer in the lining of the uterus. Most of these patients are going to be cured with hysterectomy alone. Fantastic. I'm going to check some lymph nodes, make sure it didn't try to get out. Okay, cool. That's what we're going to do. Oh, well, it turns out the institution wants me to do this many of those in one day. And I'm like, that is really, really pushing it. That's not. Oh, and they want you to do it with the team that's not really trained to do that particular, oh, and it goes on and on. So there's institutional pressures. I do think a good amount of the time, the people in the institution are aware. They're like, we're kind of putting some pressure that's probably not cool, but they're not the ones who are looking the patient in the eye. And so they can separate themselves from it a little bit. And we have now most of the time the people who are in the C-suite, the CEO, CMO, CFO, blah, blah, blah. They don't all have a physician's degree. In fact, it's very common for the CMO to have one, but nobody else. And so they can kind of...
Well, it's hard to think about them. They have to run like a business.
Yes.
And business should not have ethics. Business is driven by bottom line.
Bottom line. Yeah. Milton Friedman, I am beholden to my shareholders and my board, and nowhere on there is the patient or the doctor. I'm not beholden to them. I'm beholden to what's the bottom line. What did we make this quarter? And then as you step back even further into the industries who provide those instruments, the industries who provide the medications, the insurance companies, I mean, they're really, really isolated from the patient experience. And they're counting on volume. Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's all it is. Right?
Don't get me started about referring to my patients as volume.
Yeah, I know, right?
And throughput. Yeah. You mean the humans who came to me with a new cancer diagnosis? I refuse to refer to them as volume. It's so offensive. They don't even pretend that it's not a conveyor belt.
Right.
It is. It's just, Dr. Wilbur, do it faster, do it better, do it more. And I'm like, I cannot. So my post-op patients, would be generally a 15-minute slot. And in that 15-minute slot, I need to, say hi, talk about how your surgery did. And then if I was a regular surgeon, take a quick look at your wound. Okay. But I'm a GYN oncologist, which means that's also a conversation about your pathology.
Yeah.
Which is also a conversation about your diagnosis, about your radiation, your chemo, your blah, 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 blah. And I'm supposed to have that whole conversation and check your wound and document all of that conversation and then do it again in 15 minutes. That's what my quote unquote post-op visit
And
was.
then remember it to write your notes later, right?
Yeah. But I mean, just let's talk about, did it get out of the uterus? What does that mean? Well, what are we going to do about it? And
if the patient starts crying and there's people in the
who
room.
has time for crying?
Yeah.
Come on, lady.
There's
Come
no
on.
crying in baseball.
There's no crying in cancer.
No.
What? Yeah, absolutely. There's no time. There's no time to, now I have to go find the tissue box.
Yeah. I've always looked at the Hippocratic Oath as, and it's a little cynical, as a nice to have.
Yeah.
And it reminded me on the patient side of like the guidelines from the National Comprehensive Cancer Network.
Yeah.
They're nice to have, and they're not enforceable. And I know that there are some unions in this space. Where is the power gap in that? I mean, you can't say, no, I'm not going to do this because they'll fire you, right?
Yeah. They will. I was actually talking to someone, his name is Paul Westfield. Paul was in aviation for decades and basically did safety in aviation. And I didn't realize this, but pilots actually have federal power. So if they work for XYZ airline and XYZ says, you're going to do this, and Paul's like, no, that is not the standard, then he has the power given by the federal government to say, I'm not putting this plane in the air. That is not the standard. And physicians actually don't have that, which is kind of crazy. But if my employer, who wants me to, and this was one of the points of contention, was to use a robot for a debulking for ovarian cancer because it earns more money and would take less time, or I should say the hospital can charge more money and it takes less time. And then I'm supposed to document no gross residual, that I got everything to no gross residual. It means everything I can see or feel, except I have no tactile feedback with the robot.
Right.
So that's lying.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna,
There's a boundary there.
It's not even a gray boundary.
Yeah.
You want me to document that I removed all the cancer that I can feel using a modality that we all know I can't feel.
So there are onion layers. The first layer is you are choosing to go into the medical profession knowing that there's going to be trauma and mental issues and watching people die and dealing with this stuff.
Human suffering.
And then the layer above that is this supply chain bullshit that they throw on you. So
we're aware that we're signing on for human suffering. Check. Long hours. Gotcha. Low resources, sometimes. Certainly if I'm going to go with MSF, Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, sure. But why am I working in a low resource setting just because some greedy bastards have decided that they want to charge? No, that's not okay. That is not what I signed up for. That is causing me a lot of moral injury and tension, and I'm not doing it.
What happened 30 minutes before you decided to walk away?
I remember the day I decided to walk away. Coincidentally, it was December 7th.
Is that D-Day?
It is D-Day, which is partly why I remember. So I had a meeting with my boss and my boss's boss, and I was like, I absolutely cannot do this anymore. At the time, my son was very ill, and I couldn't get the help I needed at home or at work. And I was dealing with this, the robotic debulking situation. I was like, this, just the whole thing just kept going on and on. And I said, I need to go part-time or take a day off, or I will take a cut in pay. I will take extra call, but we need to shift things because I need a predictable schedule to some extent so that I can
reasonable accommodations. If back when I was a waitress, I would say, hey, I need Friday off. My kid's got an appointment. No, I was told no.
faculty we don't have sick days. And I said, okay, I'm going to file FMLA. And they were like, well, now's not a good time. It just, it was all about you operate, you make us money. Mm-hmm. You don't operate, you don't make us money. Then you have no value to us. That's it.
At least they were honest.
Yeah, there really weren't any,
no nuance.
No nuance. No.
And that was it. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah. I remember I didn't say it in that moment, but I thought in my head, I was like, I'm looking for an escape plan. And that's what a lot of physicians call it, the escape plan.
Wow. Oh, God.
Yep.
That's so terrible.
Most of it takes us anywhere from 6 to 24 months to come up with our escape plan.
Was it like Shawshank bad escape plan? Because like most companies don't really have a succession plan, and then they have to stumble into one when they realize like there's a problem up the chain.
Yeah, you could do it the way I did. I don't recommend. I have like mentees now, my colleagues who are coming up with their own escape plan.
I'd say cut the cord because you're an OB, but like,
yeah, that's so bad.
Sorry, dad joke. Sorry.
Oh man. So I tell people, I'm like, don't do it the way I did. My son got very, very ill, and I like lost the plot at work, and I was like, you know what? I've been poor before. I grew up poor. I'm fine. We'll just do this.
It's like that meme of the dog with the burning house behind it. This is fine.
This is fine.
All right, let's keep everyone in suspense. Take a quick break for I don't know. Let's say it's an ad for clamps.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be right back. So, not apples to apples, but the day I decided to step down from stupid cancer after giving birth to my baby and being there for 13 years and raising millions of dollars and changing the planet, I had been in LA 3 separate consecutive weekends in a row doing just things I didn't really want to do. And I work, they're going to be listening. I don't give a shit, guys. The board just kind of like didn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
And it was getting cantankerous and contentious and just unappealing. And after the 3rd weekend, I was in Santa Monica. I went up to like a roof deck with someone I was just business traveling with named Vicky. And I looked like death warmed over. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she said, "You don't look that great." I said, "I don't think I can do this anymore." Mm-hmm. I was very lucky to have someone like her in my presence at that moment of like cranial gestation.
Yeah.
And she said, "You're going to be fine." Mm-hmm. Did you have a moment like that where someone said, "This is good. You're going to be okay"?
No, and quite the opposite. So when you're a physician and you say, "I can't do this anymore," I got a lot of,
"You'll never practice again.
You'll never practice again. Well, what's your family going to do about money? What will people say about your career? Oh, what a shame that."
So they basically make you feel terrible.
Oh, terrible. The shame and guilt.
So the opposite
intense.
of "you'll be fine."
Yes. No, I found anybody who's been supportive of my decision is somebody who is spiritually well and outside of the medical field. Mm-hmm. My yoga community, my good friends who are separate from medicine, things like that.
How did your peers take it?
Terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
not the greedy douchebag power-ups.
No, but the people who are also trapped in it who are like, "You can't do that."
Right.
Can you?
Can you?
Because then it also really challenges them and their sense of like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
No, wait, I can't do that. No, you can't do that. And so there was this almost like anger, jealousy. Like, how dare you
got to escape the Matrix?
How dare you get to escape?
Yeah. How
come you get to feel the sun on your face? That's not fair.
Right.
I mean, to which I say, you get to choose too.
Yeah, you do have the option.
And I don't, I tell people the truth. I took a major financial hit to make this decision, but I feel strongly that what I do now with the book and the documentary and the advocacy,
Let's talk about the doctor.
I feel like what I do is
it's a beautiful It's the opposite of like Lucy Van Pelt with her psychology booth, right? The doctor's not in.
Yeah.
Great name. Very self-evident what the book's about, but why a book? What compelled you? And what was like the intellectual wait time between when you left and when this just like was something you probably spilled out into the universe fairly quickly?
Yeah, the book actually has been tremendously therapeutic.
Of course.
So I didn't know about the book on D-Day when I made the decision to step back from direct patient care. But somewhere in the next year, when I was sort of figuring out the escape plan and thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I was sitting down to coffee with my friend, colleague, now co-author. Her name is Kat, and Kat is an ENT surgeon. So I'm a GYN oncologist. She's an ENT surgeon. We're both mothers with young kids. And we were just sort of commiserating. And she was further behind in coming up with her escape plan, as I have a couple of public health degrees and some other experiences that I could kind of lean on to as a way to make money and contribute to science without directly providing patient care or operating. And so I had started kind of sort of pulling that together, and she and I were talking about it, and we were really, really frustrated because I shouldn't say everybody, but everybody in the medical community is aware that burnout is a huge problem for physicians, right? And so there are quote unquote experts who were talking about at the time. So this was about 3 years ago, talking about what is causing burnout, and they're having these national level conversations about, well, we have to fix EHR, the electronic health record.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Dear Epic.
I need to stop. I really just wanted to stand up in these courtrooms where these conversations happen and just be like, you need to stop. Okay. Because Epic existed before I started medical school. Epic always sucked.
Yeah.
All right. We all know Epic was created for billing. This was already known. So if you think that
part of what you knew you were walking into.
Yeah, that was part of the deal. What would we say? Human suffering, long hours, and sucky time with EHR and Epic.
Right.
That was always going to be part of the deal. I already knew that. So if you think I gave up the best decades of my life and then walked away because Epic sucks,
right?
Stop. No, yes, it does suck, and it is inappropriate that it's built around billing and not actually driven by patient care. But if you think that fixing Epic is going to fix physician burnout, you are out of your mind. That is not enough. So people really weren't understanding how bad it is for those of us who are working in the trenches. And so Kat and I were having coffee. We're having this conversation about they legit do not understand what we are up against, fighting for just the ability to provide quality care to our patients and threats very thinly veiled and sometimes not even veiled threats. It's really, really uncomfortable when you challenge people's money.
Oh, sure.
They get ugly. And if you are a young woman who's not particularly powerful and you challenge somebody's money, they get really not cute really fast.
That's when the bro show comes up.
Oh, the bro show. Yep. So, so when, me as a quote unquote little girl is like, no, I'm not going to do it. And they're like, no, you will. No, I won't. No, you will. I'll give you a few guesses what happens next.
Yeah, exactly.
The usual. Frat boys turn surgeon bosses. Fill in the blank.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. So I was subjected to all that, and I was like, okay, I know why I'm leaving, and I know why you're leaving, and I can tell you sure as shit, it's not because Epic sucks. And so we decided, you know what they need? They need qualitative data. And Kat's an anthropologist by training. I do qualitative research through public health. And what that is, I know, we're both super nerdy, the two of us. But what we love to do is talk to people, get firsthand accounts of what people are experiencing. And so instead of asking my patients with ovarian cancer about what is it like to be in remission and what do you think about when you stare with just open eyes at the ceiling every night? Instead of having that conversation, we started having the conversation about with our colleagues. And so the inclusion criteria were people who are licensed physicians in the US who self-identified as having left direct patient care in the last 2 years or moving or looking to leave in the next 2 years.
Like the expats and the pre-expats.
Yeah. So the people who already took the leap or are making their escape plan. That's what our colleagues call it. And
that's a niche market.
Yeah.
A growing niche market.
It's actually, it was not that hard to find.
Yeah.
But it was hard to find people who were willing to talk. They exist all over the place, but trust is a major issue because these are my colleagues. And like I said, there's a lot of guilt and shame that goes on when you raise your hand and say, I can't do this anymore. So we, did a quick survey, and at the bottom of the survey, it says, would you be willing to participate in an interview? Kat and I did the interviews ourselves. So these are one-on-one with a colleague, somebody who gets it, really authentic. And you can only imagine like tears, 4-letter words, lots of talk about divorce, drinking, addiction, depression, anxiety, suicide attempts, you name it.
No rainbows, no unicorns.
No, I got no rainbows, no unicorns, but I got everything else.
Wow. Unsurprising, probably?
The only thing that surprised me is I knew all of that was coming. What surprised me was we thought we would have to do several hundred interviews to reach what's called thematic saturation. So you keep going.
Like beyond anecdotal.
Yeah. So what you do is you take these anecdotes and you keep going until you get to a point of quote unquote thematic saturation. That's how you do qualitative research using grounded theory. And what that means is
it's not coincidental anymore.
No, it's you keep going until you're like, okay, we are not hearing anything new. Like it's all the same, right? So we thought we would have to do several hundred interviews to get there. We did not. It was incredibly straightforward.
4 people, wasn't it?
It was not a lot. It was double digits. We were in the 40s when we were like, I think we pretty much heard it all. Like,
yeah.
You know what? It's
here.
really just fucking greed. That's it. That's it. It's just the resources get siphoned off. Direct patient care is being delivered in a low resource setting. And when humans are living in a low resource setting, humans are ugly. That's it.
So when was the book published?
The book came out almost a year ago now. So in the fall of 2024. You can
self-published or through a publisher?
I actually did have a publisher, but then there was some conversations about intellectual property, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's self-published.
Separate podcast. With bourbon. I'm writing a book as we speak. And actually when this airs, I'll still be writing a book.
Okay.
What was it like to gotta give birth to a book?
So for me,
as an OB,
yeah,
sorry, I'm going there again.
Just so bad. So for me, this was incredibly validating to hear these stories because I was still sort of healing as I was doing this. And so there was validation, there was, it was therapeutic. I don't know that that's always going to be part of building a book, but that was it for me. And I also learned, because this was such a touchy subject that I was still healing through, moving my body while I was writing was critical. I could not sit and write. I couldn't do it. And so most of that book was written by transcribing into voice memos in my iPhone.
Wow.
And then transcribing them. So I would like dictate and then transcribe it and then edit it. And
I do that now, actually.
Because I could not sit still. I would get so restless just like thinking about these stories.
Well, because your brain just wants to say things faster than you can type it properly.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's spend the next couple of minutes wrapping up the show talking about the clapback.
The clapback.
I would say like that's how physicians are starting to it's not unionize, but it's organize.
Yep.
I know that you're on the board of the I'm going to say this wrong. No, the Clinician Burnout Foundation.
I am.
What do you do? I'm kidding. It's very obvious. But is that just the tip of the iceberg here? Or is there more to is there more below the surface of this fighting back culture right now?
There's basically, we're starting, it's slow and right now and we're in the beginning, but I sort of see it as a movement.
Yeah.
So I'm on the board for the Clinician Burnout Foundation. I'm on the board for Medicine Forward. I have my own small consulting firm now doing this work. And
you twirl around the Wonder Woman every now and then?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I actually used to have a Wonder Woman surgeon's cap, but I don't
really?
I don't have anything Wonder Woman in my sort of new desk type job.
We'll have to get you
we'll have to do that. Thank you. Yeah, some like fuckery / Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman fidget toys.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to Etsy right now.
Because I'm
Etsy.
quite fidgety. It's true. It's so
That
true.
could be so misinterpreted, but we're Gen X and we don't give a shit. Sorry. Was it Linda Hamilton? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No,
And
Linda Carter. Linda Carter.
And we didn't even talk about the documentary because the documentary is a huge part.
Aren't you still working on it, though?
Oh, yeah.
The one that I was in?
Yes, but
And
it
the
is
one with
close.
Mark Cuban, but I wasn't with Mark Cuban?
This week, after I leave New York, I'm flying to Detroit and we're going to do our first screening. It is to a select audience as a focus group because there's still a lot of editing and scoring and you name it that has to happen. But the film is really, really coming along. And so for anybody who's not familiar, it's called Suck It Up, Buttercup. I still don't know
Also
the title.
potentially inappropriate in cancel culture, but maybe we're getting out of woke. I don't know.
I know. I still don't like the title, but it doesn't matter. That's the title. And if you want to learn about it, it's really about.
Is that really the domain? Because that may be the best domain to park.
It's killing me. It's
Is it Suck It Up Buttercup?
Suck It Up Buttercup film.com.
Okay. Which means someone else owns Suck It Up Buttercup.
Apparently.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't do that part.
Okay.
No, but what I did do is a lot of pulling together the interviews, and we have got just incredible interviewees and great information. So that, because what I learned when I put the book out was the book was about collecting and giving voice to the U.S. physician, right? Because that's where I was coming from at the time, where Kat was, we were totally frustrated physicians, but physicians are only one part of this like big story.
Sure.
So what we wanted to do was collect voices from all the stakeholders and then target it for a generalized audience. Because what I was learning as the book was coming out and I started to do book signings and stuff is lay people want to know. Like they recognize there's a huge fucking problem in
Is
U.S.
this
healthcare.
whistleblower-ish?
A little bit.
Okay.
But the goal is not to be an expose. It's a little sassy, clearly from the title, right?
Yeah.
But the goal is really to help the general U.S. public understand how in the hell did we get here? How did we get to a place where, amazing things can be done? We do have some incredible healthcare in the U.S., right? Maybe the best, except clearly not the best in the world, because we hear that our infant mortality rates are low. Our Black maternal mortality rates are just devastatingly
Maybe
low.
best in the world has an asterisk.
Right. Best in the world asterisk. So what exactly? And so the U.S. public, they want to understand how in the hell do we have the best and the worst healthcare at the same time? To which the quick answer is we have the best critical care for the people who can afford it.
That is accurate.
But if you want to qualify a healthcare system as based on longevity of an entire society or based on infant mortality or maternal mortality or particularly Black maternal mortality, no.
Right.
No, the U.S. is not winning. In fact, we are losing. We are behind all developed nations.
Where can listeners go? Clearly, this is as enraging as I'd like it to be. Is there a place, anyone who just this is terrible, I'm learning about this for the first time, or this makes total sense to me because my doctor did commit suicide. Where can people aggregate to learn more? Obviously, we'll wait for Suck It Up Buttercup to become a real boy, but where can people go?
Yeah.
What are the top, obviously besides the Clinician Burnout Foundation, which the website is?
Yeah, that's www.clinicianburnoutfoundation.org.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep. Or come to www.medicineforward.org. Medicine Forward is a grassroots organization, and it was started by basically pissed off physicians who really just wanted the patient-physician relationship at the front and center of what we do. But we realize now that we need everybody. And so this is now a grassroots organization that was started by physicians, but wants everyone, wants patients, nurses, everybody on the team. Come join this movement because there's going to be a lot that has to be done. Step one is educating the U.S. public. Step two, and I know it might not be totally intuitive, but step two is actually campaign finance reform and freeing up our legislators so that we can actually do some of the things in our country that need to be done when it comes to healthcare.
Agreed. Well, we could have a 3-hour conversation on this. And anytime you're in New York, just come back because ranting with you is awesome.
Okay.
But I do a lightning round.
Okay.
I mean, some people know in advance and they predict what I'm going to say. But what I do is I run who you are with my opinions on you into my chat GPT.
Okay.
And it spits out the answer to a question.
Oh, this sounds like fun.
Douglas Adams style.
Okay.
If you were a Netflix series, what 3 pop culture soulmates would play you?
Oh, jeez.
You don't have to answer the question. I have the answers.
Oh, okay.
Because it is clearly 42. No. So you're Jane Craig from Broadcast News.
Okay.
Razor sharp, deeply principled, emotionally raw, and allergic to bullshit while navigating a crumbling
God.
system she cares about.
Can I frame this?
You get this for a souvenir.
Yes.
You are Carrie Weaver from ER.
Oh.
Whip smart, uncompromising, endlessly resourceful, and fully aware of the political landmines inside medicine.
Oh.
And you are Erin Brockovich.
I feel so seen.
Relentless, unapologetic, and willing to dismantle an entire institution if it means protecting people from systemic harm.
I feel so seen. This
Yes.
reminds me of my favorite assessment as a first-year medical student. I spent some time with an anesthesiologist, and she wrote down, MaryAnn is passionate and irreverent.
That sums it up. Well, Dr. MaryAnn Wilbur, I like the MD, MPH, MHS, like acronyms work in this scenario. Author of The Doctor is No Longer In, on the board of Medicine Forward and the Clinician Burnout Foundation. I adore you. Never lose your spunk. Never get pro-fuckery. It's always anti-fuckery.
Anti-fuckery.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.